crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Lion Tales, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with Aurora Workman, and our guest today is Walter Strong III, a banker and author of several faith-based books. So what role does your faith play in your life, books that you write, your website, and your podcast that you have?
The podcast is coming in October, but I appreciate the encouragement that if you put it on paper, that means I got to stick with getting it.
Yes, that means it's going to happen now.
But my faith is very important to me as a man. My pastor taught that to be a good husband, to be a good father, to be a good son, to be a good employee, to be a good daughter, to be a good wife, you have to first learn how to be a good son to God. And that's what Jesus modeled. And so my faith has helped me to become these things and to accomplish these things just through having a relationship. And am I perfect? No. But I'll go to God and say, God, I'm angry about this. I'm upset about this. But I know by being honest as a son, just like if it was my own father talking to me, he'll say, okay, I understand how you feel, but here's how we're going to address this. Here's how I'll recommend how you address it. So my faith has been very central and important to being able to accomplish these things.
As a church elder and a husband and a father, and then do you find it easier to meet expectations and fulfill your duties since you've written about this?
I do to a degree, but I still pull on my life experiences, and my relationship with my father, the very things that I understand that sometimes as men, what we want from our parents, what we want from our fathers, they're not able to give it to us because maybe the previous father or men in their lives didn't deposit it into them. So as a result of me growing up as a husband, as a father, and as a son, and being able to encourage men, that what I was able to get through my relationship with the Lord and other men in my life, I'm now able to deposit into my daughter's life. I'm able to now encourage other fathers and encourage other husbands what it means to be, a strong man in these times.
Yeah, and you know how when, people always say, like, through the generations, well, I don't want to do I don't want to raise my children the way that they raised me. I'm going to do something a little bit different. Like, I spare the rod, spoil the child mentality. You don't want to maybe succumb to that type of parenting. And so how do you focus your parenting skills so that your daughter sees you as, that figure in her life that she can go to?
I share with her my experience of how my parents disciplined me. I realized that the method in which the way they disciplined me back then, that would be considered child abuse. I say it all honestly. I do. No, I say it all honestly. But you know what? It kept me off the streets.
Yes.
It kept a needle out of my arms.
Right.
It kept me off of drugs.
Yeah.
Most importantly, when I had the opportunity to stand before a judge and close to almost doing 5 to 10 years because of some bad choices and bad decisions that I made, I remember, again, my relationship with God wasn't the way it is now. But while I sat in that cell, I remember God saying to me, so all those beatings that your father gave you, all those beatings that your mothers gave you meant nothing to you. Okay, if that's the case, you're about to experience a level of beating and brutality behind bars that you can imagine. And I just said, Lord, please help me. Help me change. Help me get out of this situation. And so I'm very grateful. And I think I've only disciplined my daughter one time. One time. I learned what my mother gave me, the look. Remember when you
Yeah,
would just give
just
the
the
look?
look is good.
Every mama got the look.
The
The look. Well, the little belt buckle shake.
Right. I learned the look, and or the conversation. Now, if we come back in this bathroom one more time, I only had to bring her to the bathroom one time with those types of then we know I'm not talking.
I'm in church,
Right, and
they
then
gonna
you
take
do-
you down
yeah.
the aisle to the bathroom.
And
I be looking at them, it's like,
help.
and they think I'm praising them. Help me.
And it's true because I mean we do go by our prior experiences and our prior knowledge, and in the manner in which we would approach disciplining a child or talking to them and making sure that they understand.
Exactly.
So so now you're reflecting on your experiences and your experiences back then. So we're gonna go back to the Walter Strong that walked the campus of Nassau Community College, and you're looking and you're reflecting, and what is the one thing that the Walter Strong III today is saying to that Walter Strong III who's sitting outside the college union instead of going into a lecture or something?
What I reflect and what I remember the most when I first got onto the campus was and this may sound silly, looking at the waterfall right where the bus, and it would just make me, as I looked at it, it reminded me of the possibilities of where my life could go.
Oh.
And there would be sometimes I would come on campus and the waterfall wasn't on. I would be sore because that was my way of focusing after a hard day's work.
So I know you got off on the bus back there near the clusters with that
Yeah.
beautiful
Yes.
waterfall behind the light.
so
That's
great.
beautiful reflection.
And that would be my reflection to say, okay, this is your because I would look at the college brochure and they would have the students with the Nassau Community College, so I couldn't identify with them from that perspective because I wasn't. But that waterfall, walking in the library and seeing the different nationalities of people that were on campus, I'm saying this is your second chance to be able to better your life. And so I was very dedicated and focused to do well on campus.
Yeah.
You're listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Aurora Workman, along with Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Walter Strong III, a banker, an author, and a proud alumni of Nassau Community College. So tell us about the activities were you engaged in any activities on campus? Did you ever join any of the student clubs or anything?
No, I didn't get a chance to engage in any of the student clubs or activities. My focus really pretty much was coming to class and as an adult student, because as an adult student that I could look at some individuals and that can be a challenge for an adult student.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And so I was very dedicated to want to do well in class, and not just do well, but bringing anything less than a 90 was a failure to me. Now, you may say that's very high, and is that real unrealistic? Well, if you allow me, I got a GED. Part of the reason why I got that GED is because I had before that fell 3 grades behind. So education growing up to me as a young man and as a young kid wasn't important. But then when I saw the direction that my life was going in, and then getting this opportunity to get my GED and then come to Nassau Community College, a light switch came on and said, this is an opportunity and a blessing. I mean, I didn't even know how I was going to get the tuition to come, and God supernaturally
Somehow
provided
it works
the tuition
out, right?
And then working with financial aid, but the initial money that I needed. And I saw this as an opportunity that I could not waste, that I could not squander. So as much as I wanted to engage in the activities, I kind of saw them as a distraction for me at that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as what advice would you give to adult students who want to continue their education now? I mean, you've been an adult student, and you know what it's like. You know, some people are like, oh, I don't want to come here with those kids, or I don't want to be here in the classroom again. But what advice would you give to an adult student who wants to continue their education?
I would say commit to your goal and commit to the process and enjoy the journey while you're doing it. And as long as you do those 3 things, despite the little things that may be annoying, like the students, because you'll see certain students that don't take it as serious as you, that's okay. But then as you commit to those three things, things will fall in place for you. You will have those professors that will bring you to tears,
Yes,
or a
that's
class
true.
will bring you to tears.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's okay. Just enjoy the process.
And make you sort of question the ability, can I do this? And making sure that you do not give up and you don't quit.
Yes.
So what about Nassau Community College that you would recommend people to come here and study?
I would definitely recommend any individual, if they don't have the opportunity for a university or four-year scholarship, I would highly recommend it to them, especially with the work schedule. If they live in the Nassau Community College, it would be a top priority to recommend them. But to understand that when you're coming back, have a focus on what you're going to be doing, so you're not wandering back and forth. Should I major in business? Should I major in accounting? I believe what helped me was I knew exactly what I wanted to go after.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's always one of the good things. So I want to just touch on how many books have you authored? I saw it online.
Okay.
So I know. How many books have you authored?
So far, I've did 5 books. A Quiet Place with the Father is my paperback book, but I've also written 4 ebooks that I have on my website. And what I began to learn as a blogger and as a writer, as you write blogs, as you write more and more in these last 3 years, you're able to pull that material, because maybe that material you wrote 2 years ago, you can kind of bring it back, add more material to it, and add some more other blogs together that may speak the same message, and it becomes like a 3-chapter ebook. Right now I'm giving them away free online just to help introduce myself in the platform that I have. But it's 5 books so far, and I'm very excited that what God is doing in the messages that I'm sharing.
Now look at that, from
so
having being 3 classes behind to getting a GED to becoming this great banker for 18 years and the author of 6 books. I mean, Nassau, anything is possible.
Yes.
Everything is possible. And I like what you said, if you commit. If you commit. And this has been powerful, Walter, and I thank you for that. So as a final thought for our listening audience, from the time you left to the time, to this very moment, what is one of the important lessons that you can impart?
I would say read this book by Spencer Johnson called Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, yes.
And my business instructor introduced it to me when I was doing introduction to business.
Yes.
And then he ended up being my instructor again in business management. But Who Moved My Cheese is about 4 characters, 2 individuals, 2 mice. And it basically, Who Moved My Cheese is about is, what is your cheese in life? Maybe your cheese is success. Maybe your cheese is marriage, money, your relationship with God. But at some point, life is going to move your cheese. The question is, how will you adjust or change when you realize that cheese has been moved? Will you sit and complain that your cheese has been moved? Will you sit and be skeptical about your change being moved? Or will you be like the 2 mice who were very simple and were not analytic? One was named Sniff and Scurry, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And they went into the maze of life, which was the cheese maze, and they went and found new cheese. And the 2 humans were faced with that same decision. Do I sit here and moan and complain that my cheese has been moved? Or do I go out into the maze and find new cheese? And that's what I saw in Nassau Community College. My cheese has been moved. Now I have to go ahead and now find my new cheese. And like I said, the classes were great, but even some of the professors and some of the life lessons that they taught me. And so I would say to every adult student that's here, or an adult student that's looking to come, be willing to move with the cheese that is going on in our job world, in our society, and find your cheese.
Thank you. Our guest today has been Walter Strong III, a proud alumni of Nassau Community College.
We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, along with my fabulous friend, Aurora Workman, president of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. The creative director of Lion Tales is Rudy J. Breedy. This show is a production of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. Lion Tales is powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk to you next week.